I stand firmly in the fact that I'm one of the best to ever do this. For the culture, for my coast, and for my city. This is the Best Rapper in LA podcast. And I'm your host, Murs. What up, though? We're back. Another week. We started something and we're going to finish it, people. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The ugly being songs and moments like this that are very humbling. Very, very humbling. The Scuffle is a song we're going to start with today because we got to the fourth song.
Southern California underground funk assassin. Known for blasting competition, break them up like New Edition. I'ma rob you, rip you with mics and make you question your commitment like my dick's in your wife. And I'm hitting it right. Now how's that for a visual to make your brain stall? Your old ball and chain now chained to my balls. I'ma rain till I fall. When I do, I get a stunt double. Like to play it smart, so I pump when there's trouble. Why you try to go for broke with the punks in your huddle? I play Voldemort and bring the magic to the muggles. Just dove in the struggle. Not waiting waist deep.
If you're listening along, great. Sorry. This is awful. Great beat. Shout out to Ono. Representing the Ox. Yeah. Man. I think this is like a few of the beats I paid for on this album. I believe we paid for this, or maybe we had an exchange. I don't remember. Definitely resulted with me having a near altercation. Me jumping on a table at a diner, threatening to beat someone up over this. So there was some miscommunication, and someone was talking to someone about something, and someone said disparaging things about me. So when I caught up to them, I exploded. That's often how it is. I'll hold something in. Even if I don't remember what it is, I will tell you to your face, I don't like you. You said something and fuck you. And we'll start there. But yeah, I before I reply on social media, before I text you, call you, I will just wait and wait and wait. And if I don't see you, then I just see it, as it was fate. But if I see you, I ran into an individual. I've had a couple individuals over 50, possibly over 60 men that I've had to hold accountable for a couple things. One of them finally said to me, like, "Look, what are you gonna do, man? Are you gonna beat me up?" Well, I finally caught him. The other one would just run from me whenever I saw him. God bless his soul. I think he's no longer with us. Stupid. Like this song, Stupid. Southern California underground funk assassin. It starts with that, which is a shout out to the Cuff, California Underground Funk. One of my favorite rap groups from Sacramento. Crush, Nate the Great, Pete B, and brother RJ. They have an album called Federal Expressions, which is, to me, one of the best hip-hop albums to come out ever. And one of the best hip-hop albums to come out of Sacramento.
Man, mama was on the dank tip and daddy was on the dank tip. Now I am on the dank tip. So moms and pops, I can't trip. Cause I remember all them Nicholas Park picnics. Back in 76 and the grown folks was kicking it. Afros with pics in it, barbecue fixing it. Like a soul kitchen, roll up a fat one. Oh shit, daddy's blowing smoke in my face. And I'm called when he gets dang.
Nate Curry, who is the son of Nate the Great, also collaborated. He did the beat for one of my newest singles called Adam West Coast.
Shaka Khan, Shoda Khan. Mind, soul, body, karate, go beyond limits. Fuck limits, cause there is none. Pacifist for peace, but you can put me with the big guns. Boom, boom, I let it fly when I see you.
And hopefully he'll be on my new albums. Nate the Great is going by Space now I think you spell the A with a V, and there's a B. I don't know. He's hip, I'm not. But he's still one of the best MCs. I haven't really heard much from Crush and RJ and everybody. But Living Legends and the Cuff used to have something called the Fun Gang we spoke of. So that was just a shout out to them. And it's all downhill from there, folks. I go into Ronnie, Bobby review of something, trying to do Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. Poor choice. Something like just rapping for the sake of rapping, and it wasn't even good. If you guys know that, Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike, if I like the girl, who cares who you like?
So why don't you fellas just leave me alone? Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. If I love the girl, who cares who you like?
Cool it now, you got to slow it. So that was just me referencing that. Later on, we'll get to a New Edition Beatles thing later where I believe that New Edition and the Beatles are the greatest groups in music history. Black music, New Edition, white music, popular music, whatever you want to call it. Rock and roll, the Beatles, R&B. Let's do away with the race. We see no color. R&B, New Edition, and the Beatles, rock. But if you don't want to separate, there's two of the most important groups. So I wanted to mention that my best friend DJ Herm and I had a thing where whoever would find Any Heartbreak, the remix to Any Heartbreak is so fucking dope.
Signing autographs at the mall. Next in line was a fly girl standing tall. Saw my name and said, give me a call, baby. You know, the girl screamed and faint, the dance club. The bodyguard pulled this out the back door. I never saw her anymore. It was an in-store heartbreak.
On vinyl, we used to go digging twice a week at this place called PDQ in Tucson. If you're a crate digger, you know, like Newmark, Cut Chemist, Z-Trip, everybody will pop up there. Late 90s, early 2000s. We go to our favorite restaurant. If you're ever in Tucson, please go to Bobo's on Grant Road. There are no vegan options. But we'll get to that later in this song too. But great service, great people. And PDQ used to be right around the corner. So we go eat our breakfast and then we go digging. And you have to buy, it's like a thing, you have to buy the copy of Any Heartbreak. I think he got the first one before me. And it's been a thing ever since. Yeah, what else we got? Oh, yeah, something about my dick and your wife. What was I talking about? I never had sex with anybody's wife. I don't think I have ever had, except for my own. And maybe someone's ex-wife. But it was a larger metaphor, and ball and chain to my balls. What? Whew, man, grow up. But you got to grow up in order to grow up, you know? It's embarrassing now. My children have to hear that shit. Wasn't thinking. No one to tell me better. Children with no fathers. Where was my father? He probably would have told me to go for it, though. Something about stunt double. When I fall off, I get a stunt double, which is also a reference to Lucky and I. When we were dating on the road, or when I was dating on the road, we would come up with the term stunt double. My rule of thumb was that if we were dating and we wanted to be exclusive within your region, I would divide it into region. I was touring so much at this time that, okay, this would be your region. If I met you in New Orleans, I wouldn't date anyone from Austin to Tallahassee. And you could ride with us. You ride on the bus or ride behind the bus, most likely, in our own car. And we could, there's an exclusivity. When I was out of town, I would just ask, you could have a stunt double, just not another rapper. Because my schedule didn't permit to me to be in a committed relationship, something like that this time. This is, like I said, I'm figuring it out. Please judge me, because I'm judging myself. This is really hard to do. I didn't think this would be hard work, but this is hard work. So that was my spiel with stunt doubles. And, I was cool with the stunt double and everything. Being adult, I guess polyamorous is what the children are calling now, but I didn't have the term for it. A lot of these things, boundaries, triggered, polyamorous, or you guys, non-binary, things like that. There were all these things, I guess, existed. We just didn't have the names for them. The hook was the same format that I always use.
If you let it take over, have you stressed to the point where you can't stay sober? It'll drive you crazy. If you let it take over, got me stressed to the point where I can't stay sober. It'll drive you crazy. If you let it take over, got me stressed to the point where I can't stay sober. It'll drive you crazy. If you let it, don't forget it. Take control of your life, or you just might regret it. That's how I got these panic attacks and frantic with raps. That's cold.
At the in-store for this album, I met some kids from Atlanta in a group called Supreme with 2 E's, Sam, Nagasi, and Shaka.
Hey yo, every hour on the hour, I devour cowards who would rather cower hour, then collide with supernatural powers.
Why I write, why I rhyme, why do I do this rap shit? Why I'm raps elitist, I just tell them.
Yeah, every hour, on the hour, I devour cowards who would rather cower than collide with supernatural powers.
And they were at a girl that they knew brought them to an in-store I had in Atlanta, and basically they were 15, 16. And one of them, Shaka, came up to me and was like, yeah, you're nice, but my man's is nicer. Basically, like at my own in-store. So I was like, let me hear you. And the kid was nice. I was like, you're dope. You remind me of how dope me and my friend, like I was in 3MG. We were fucking that dope when we were 15, 16 too. I was like, so, like, okay. Yeah, and we became friends. We laughed. And when I, later on, we'll tell the story when we get to that album, but I ended up helping them get signed or signing them to Warner Brothers and record collection with me. Yeah, we'll get into that story when it comes up. But Nagasi, the youngest member of the crew, was the first person to point out. He's like, all of your songs have this format. You say, bad man, never looked at you and disrespected you. HUSTLE, hustler. Da, 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 da. Like, you repeat, you say one thing, and then you have filling in with different rhyme schemes, and it'll drive you crazy, just like on Merciless War. You are now in the zone. Lay back and focus on the tone. Forget it. You are now in the zone. I was learning to write hooks. I would come from a group. Should have probably always been in a group. Second verse, something about a girl being Hispanic and black. I don't know if that's offensive now. It's offensive to me. It was a compliment. I had an early fascination with Dominican women, with, African, Latino, whatever, Taino roots. I don't know the genealogy. This is before I even knew the Dominican Republic and Haiti were on the same island. I didn't even take time to learn my geography. I figured when I was younger, if I ever went to Dominican Republic or Brazil or something before I was married, I probably wouldn't return. So I didn't really look into the geography. Yeah, probably for the best thing for me. I said, you don't want beef because you're a vegan bitch, and now I am a vegan bitch, and bitch, I am a vegan.
Bitch, I'm a vegan. Bitch, I'm a vegan. Bitch, I'm a bitch, I'm a bitch, I'm a vegan. Bitch, I'm a vegan. Bitch, I'm a vegan. Bitch, I'm a bitch, I'm a bitch, I'm a vegan. Bitch, I'm a vegan.
This is before I became a vegetarian, like around 96. And then I started eating chicken again because it was expensive kind of back then and unhealthy just to eat French fries all the time. And it was easier to eat chicken when you're on the road and when you're in Europe. And I would eat chicken nuggets at McDonald's because they were cheap and accessible. Japan, same thing. I also didn't know that. So chicken and turkey. I haven't eaten beef, fish, or pork since I was a teenager at this point. And like my diet fucking man, but it feels like you have to defend your diet, your political stance, everything. So I wasn't vegan yet. I had discovered that I've been having really, really extremely bad stomach aches since I was a child. And they thought I had Giardia and parasites. And I got all these tests done on me over the years. Once I ended up in the hospital so bad, I was, let's just say, passing blood. And I don't even remember. I passed out. I had to have a transfusion. It was a disgusting debacle, and I ended up in the hospital for a few days. And they did a colonoscopy, couldn't find anything wrong. But I had just discovered, since I didn't eat beef, I had just discovered chicken cheesesteaks in Berkeley, this place on University, down by the waterfront, I think towards a bridge. And man, I ate literally, and I was dating a girl that lived near there, and I would eat it on the way to her house and on the way home in the morning and get one to go for dinner. I had finally been able to participate in cheesesteaks. I had heard about them my whole life, and I didn't eat beef. Or not my whole life. I haven't heard, but I discovered them as I started traveling, and I wanted to have. Anyway, I would start eating these, and that's what made me so sick that I lost so much blood. I passed out. It was horrible. I happened to be trying to bum a ride to L.A. with the fan that I met on Telegraph. I was selling somebody a tape or at a club or something. They said they were on their way to L.A. I was like, can I ride with you? And they were giving me a ride, and they ended up having to drop me off at the hospital where I stayed in the middle of Central California for a few days. Yeah. Oh, man, I'm in the hospital, and they put you in a room with, your roommate. And I'm going to say it because this is, I think people know where I stand on the issue, and this is not a derogatory term. He used the term in its original sense. I was coughing because I was basically having withdrawal. I was from cigarettes, not being able, I couldn't get up out of bed. I was so weak. So I couldn't go out and smoke a cigarette, so I'm coughing. And the guy next to me is an older white man, and he's coughing. And he goes, "You smoke fags?" I was like, huh? I was like, cigarettes? Yeah. I started smoking fags back in WW2. And I was like, yeah, man, well, I could tell right now, listening to you and me being in this state, I'm going to quit. And I think he said something like, I bet you don't. And when I finally did quit cigarettes, I could hear that guy's mouth. But yeah, I could hear it saying, I bet you don't. He was my inspiration. So wherever you are in the great beyond, sir, I did it. I've only had a few cigarettes in the past decade or so. I didn't think I could beat that one, or not beat it, but I didn't think I could stop that one. So shout out to him wherever he is. Yeah, but yeah, I think he said, I bet you don't, like coughed himself into a fit, like into a sleeping fit, a coffee fit that led to him just passing out. I bet you don't. And I thought it was the most asshole shit, and I was mad, and I was in pain, and I wanted a cigarette, and I was irritated. But it motivated me. Maybe that was his goal, being an old veteran. Just imagine, I brought it up last, it's kind of hard not to talk about in certain ways, but man, there's a lot of people with really strong opinions right now, and there was no social media in World War II. You had to get up and go kill Nazis. It's weird, man. It's really weird to see people. I'm okay with you posting your stance, but when you are posting images and like, yeah, we killed them and they killed, like you're getting, like, you pulled the trigger is when I, like, unless you're, coming from gang culture, it's hard for me to respect someone talking death and not actually being active. It's a serious situation outside all around the world right now. But yeah, the gentlemen and women from that era, and the they, them, it was just such, that time on Earth. And I'm sure hopefully our children's children will look at it like, man, they suffered, because we should be getting better. And I don't know if we're getting better as far as morals and world peace, but, the type of, there's dysentery, there's all kind of things going on. For that man to make it to that hospital where I was, and having served in WW2, was a miracle in and of itself, and takes grit and strength that I'm not sure many of any living generation has anymore. Or maybe they do. I mean, I definitely know some people, inner city, and they're yes, they do. I may be wrong in assuming that it was the majority back then. Working with your hands, building something from the ground up, being a person of your word, and putting your life behind those words and behind those stance and those ideals. Right or wrong, putting your life on the line behind your ideals. Imagine if before you had to post something on social media, and that's where I praise gang culture, because I come from a culture where your life is on the line when you say something sometimes. When you wear something, when you walk out of your house wearing something, you have to be ready to die for it. Not much less say something or your actions. And, it's exaggerated sometimes in America, but, even just being a black person in certain parts of America, walking out of the house in your skin, you have to be prepared to die. And now motherfuckers are online all willy-nilly, throwing shade, throwing shots. Like, who are you people, man? Like, have no value for the sanctity of life, or just like a code, like your word is your bond. Think about it before you press send on that post. Opinions are okay. Sharing newsreels, all that is fine, but I've seen some deplorable shit. And if there are sides, to both sides of this thing right now that's happening, but any scene with BLM, with Ukraine and Russia, with if you're not outside, temper yourself. If you're protesting and blah, 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 that's fine. You're saying it with your whole chest. That's the closest you can get to the front line, some people. And I respect that. But the armchair shit has gotten me my whole career. That's why I try not to do conscious rap. I do woke and conscious things in my actual life, but rapping about them never goes over well because people don't really respect that from me for whatever reason. They like my girl raps or when I rap with white rappers better, that's fine. But some of the rappers in the woke genre don't put their all into it. I love what Ali does. Sage Francis, B. Dolan, me and Sage have had our things over there, but I respect his action. Same thing with Immortal Technique. I would definitely respect his action away from the mic. Whatever it is, be about it. I don't want to see it in your story. Or if I do, I want to see you active. I want to see you actively pushing your agenda, especially if it's positive. I fight the fight in my way, you fight the fight in your way, but the people who are on the sidelines not fighting are infuriating.
When action was in fashion, you were such an easy mimic. Bumper sticker, quote, lifting, grip, no statistic. Grass for the strong man, born again, cynic. Fair weather, firebrand, spark my suspicion. Knew you were the type to take the fight like a gimmick. And rock the t-shirt when your sweat wasn't in it. The clock is still ticking for the victim of the future. You wait until they look like you to ever choose, but which side are you on? Which side are you on? Damn.
Now let's get back to my horrible raps. Maybe we'll break that up with the commercial. Bowers and Sons Cleaners. Since 48, my mom's gonna be mad, 70-something years in the community here in South Central and Adams, 2509 South Central Avenue. If you need dry cleaning, same day dry cleaning before 10 a.m., get your clothes in, you get them back the same day. We do deliveries. Bowers, Bowers, and Sons. Bowers and Sons Cleaners, even though it's my mother who took it over at this time, and my stepfather. Shout out to my uncles and my grandma. It's been the family business my whole life and my mother's whole life. My grandfather bought it from my great-grandmother. So this business has been in our family. Dry cleaning has been in our family for a long time. I may pick up the mantle here in a couple years. So make sure you stop in if you need any dry cleaning or you want it delivered anywhere in reasonable LA region. I think we go from South Central to West LA and downtown. I drive the route sometimes. If you see me, I see a lot of y'all out there. You see me in the van. My parents go on vacation. I get in the van and handle some business for them because it's the least I can do. Bowers and Sons Cleaners, 213-749-3237 is the phone number. All right. Shout out BLX. BLX were some of the first rappers that had me up in Westwood. Shout out to Craig Malkovich, who's also served as my publicist, a.k.a. James Dunn. He has an amazing series I hope he gets back into called One Bag. He's currently living in Vietnam. He's lived in Namibia. He is, one of the first Persian friends I made. And I didn't know Persian people were from Iran. He has some amazing pictures of what Iran was like before the ever regime took over. Yeah, he put out a book, I believe. It was amazing. I think it was a book. I don't see the book. I saw the photos online. Just a really interesting, dope MC, dope cat. Omni, Mole Man, Croc, Charles. It was a group of dope MCs.
Craig Malkovich, Arabic descent. Main event, indie flesh, represent east-west. North-south, south-north, southpaw. Pound jaws, unannounced outpours. Kick down doors, so bounce or get caught in mic war. Chippers is what we fight for. Stage predators, busting mics like black tech. Strong arm the sound man for tight sets and sound check. Respect, we the best, and that's no empty threat. I rep the BX. You mean the BLX? Whatever he said. We stomp like T-Rex. Open them up like C-Sex. What you see? A flea spec. Come on, man, what you expect? Mike rejects. Better watch each step. Knees bent on the cement. 3 dead, a week intent.
Yeah, Gershwin BLX, making dope music. Hopefully they're gonna work on reissuing some of the classic underground hip hop. If you can Google it, and you are a fan of LA indie rap, it is dope as fuck. So I shouted them out.
That's how I got these panic attacks and frantic with raps that's cold as a chick mixed Hispanic with black, but still spit it so hot to have to ban it from wax, or at least press it on that heavy European shit. So you can't want beef when you're a vegan bitch. Props to BLX. I hope y'all see them checks. I'm up in women from the back like a CRX, and real heads can stop waiting cause we are next. Def Jux and living legends coming through when I play 2 sets like Shock G and D. You don't know the half about blowing up. I call you C2, treat it like an opening act, a movie preview, cause everybody in the house came to watch what we do. Since your rhymes are as fly as a fucking emu, so even if I only make MTV2, it's better than me stuck in a rut being you. Drive you crazy if you let it take over. Got me stressed to the point where I can't stay sober.
2 sets like Shock G and DU. I'm not gonna get into particulars, but I still have never seen Humpty and Shock G in the same place. You don't know the half about blowing up, so I'm gonna call you C2. Woo, bars, cause C4 is explosive. You don't know the half, so C2. Woo, lyrical lasers in your eyeballs. Oh, like I said, this is hard, man. So I'll call you C2. Also, shout out to my homie C2 that cuts at, or used to cut at Legends Barbershop. I believe he's off La Cienega, still cuts my brother's hair. Shout out to C2. I believe his son is producing this dope. You're about as fly as a fucking emu. Whatever. I was really fascinated with Australia still, and emu reference. I hadn't heard emu in a rap, so there's that. And then if I only make MTV2, which I did end up making MTV2. All this is, I did end up working with Shock G. I did become a vegan. Look at the power of words. Yeah. MTV2 went to the Woody Awards. Me and Slug got invited. I don't know if we presented an award, this felt. But yeah, we sat at a table. We sat at a table with Lady Sovereign and Imogen Heap. And it was the first time I met my homeboy Travi from Gym Class Hero. Shout out to him. They were just blowing up, and he wound up being a fan, and we ended up kicking it for years after that. Becoming a good friend. I really love Travi. He refused to be on Murs for President because the song I sent him was inappropriate as fuck, and he called me out on it, and I'm glad about that. That's all I'll say about that. He said, save me from having to do another breakdown and embarrass myself. It wasn't crazy, but it was something like this where it's like, why would I rap about putting my dick in your wife when I've never put my dick in anyone? Why? Because I'm fucking 10. 10. If you're a man out there and you have a chat with your boys where you send fucking stupid shit, fart jokes or whatever the fuck, because we're still fucking 10, possibly 12. 10. I shouldn't have even had a microphone maybe at this age. I don't know. Or just a decent producer. And it's not fun. It's whatever. Like, there are grown men older than me still rapping about the shit. There's a recent rapper that I saw, like, we all know you're married and you're 38, bro. What the fuck are you saying? You're supposed to be one of the greatest lyricists, and then you're on a song talking about you fuck on your bitch? Huh? And you're even supposed to be one of the, woke. Man. It's weird, bro. It's so weird. And then when they rap about their boys fucking on your girl or something, it's just so weird, and there's so much like homoeroticism and man. But now there's words for the spectrum. If you want to be on, like, if you enjoy that, like, I can't even not stomach, but like it's hard for me to listen to me talking about what my dick does. I can't even imagine making a lyric where I was proud of what another man's dick did to someone else. Huh? What are we talking about here, guys? What's going on, man? Just date your friends if that's the point. I don't know. It's weird, man. Anyway, we got to sit with Imogen Heap and Lady Sovereign. Lady Sovereign, I don't know. Everybody get around them, all girl them, all man them. And she had a diss to Britney Spears or something. I was like, bitch, you're orange. She was one of the first grime rappers, kind of grimy, UK. Bro, let me just tell you, the British women were so trill that night. I believe Lady Sovereign may or may not have punched someone in the face for telling her she couldn't smoke it in the awards during the filming of the show. And then Imogen was like, let's go out and get drunk. Very tall, just, tall, beautiful woman. She's like a spectacle. Like she had all these peacock feathers and blah, blah. She outdrank all of us. I think that was, I don't want to tell her, but it was a wild night.
Where are we? What the hell is going on?
It was fun as fuck. Just a good old like platonic partying with a couple British people and having great drinks. I got a text from DJ Paul living in Wisconsin. Tim Baker is listening from the almighty Hangar 18. They are definitely a part of the Jux legacy.
Don't play the unplayable, push the unpushable, test the untestable.
It's Hanger, baby.
Can't drink the outdrinkable, drink the
It's Hanger, baby.
Yeah. Come on. I'm courted by the distance, that's the difference in my repertoire. The cost of my adventures, the expense of a MetroCard. Trim the fat, adapt, let the past suffocate. Cause I'm lax when I attack the steep path of my fucking fate.
But around this time, I believe we had a party at some huge venue in one of the bigger venues in New York City. God, I can't remember the name of it now. Alaska will probably tell me later. Wind and Breeze in Alaska. And man, I got so drunk. Because the flyer says, I see it somewhere. Is it the Bowery Ballroom? And then the one that has a bar underneath. I believe I started drinking on the plane to New York. Because Elle had me out there in the winter, like right after Christmas, I believe. And I fuck cold. I'm Californian through and through. I really believe my ancestors are from somewhere in the northern African deserts. I don't like to drink a lot of water. I enjoy 100-degree weather. And I do not like the cold at all. I have a very outwardly adverse reaction to the cold. Not like I break out, but I start cursing. I want to punch things and people. I do not. Yeah, we were filming for Rock the Vote on the Mercer President Tour, and like we had like MTV Rock the Vote, the cameras on the bus. I was like, the cold sticks to your clothes. If you're from California, you've never traveled in the winter, you don't know, but the cold will stick to your clothes. I just ran through the bus screaming. I didn't give a fuck who was on there and just ripping off my clothes. It was so cold. It may not make sense, but the bus was warm, but I was still cold because the jacket and the clothes on me were cold. So I just started stripping down. I think I got to my thermals or long johns or whatever you call them. Oh no, that's where we had red buttholes. The onesies that you see like the old coal miner, country, redneck, whatever you want to call them, people wearing in cartoons, like the onesie, red, that button down the front and have the flap in the back so you can shit. They're like pajama, but like thermals. We found some in Montana at an Army surplus, so we all bought we called them red buttholes because they had a little slot in the back for you to shit in the outhouse. So yeah, I stripped down in my red buttholes. I was screaming. Anyway, so I'm in New York for this party and come get drunk with Murs. They made me the lieutenant governor of like a parade kind of flyer, all these stars. I think FaZe or Futura did the flyer, some legendary New York graffiti artist. Thank you, Elle. I didn't find out till later, but amazing that a legend worked on a flyer I was on. And like the old school, like the line art's dope with the like my picture inside of a star, RJ, Ace, me, Hangar 18, SA Smash, Camus, and Keith, and Metro. And I remember like these motherfuckers, Hangar 18, were walking after the show. I believe I started drinking some day drinking. And then there's a bar that leads up that you can party in before you go let people up to the thing. I believe it was a sold out show. And so it said, come get drunk with Murs. So in the bar before the show, people are buying me drinks. And I'm plastered, hammered. And at the end of the night, we're walking after the show. And this motherfucker, Alaska or Wind and Breeze, or both, one of them, because people in New York, your trash is just thrown on the street. It's fucking very uncivilized. trash is on the street, it sits by the curb. So there's whole ass Christmas trees. They hit me with an old, cold, wet Christmas tree. We begin to have Christmas tree fights all throughout New York. Drunken, slush Christmas tree fight. We're hitting each other with Christmas trees. And I think at one point, one of them actually punched me in the face. And we were fighting for fun, hitting each other with Christmas trees.
Predetermined version, more a fiend than a person. Nature versus nurture, take the stage, close the curtain. And let's applaud the more assured statement that I'm painting. There's a shortage of the lost sophistication through creation. Single-minded.
Hangar 18, bro. Some wild motherfuckers. Shout out to them. All buttoned up and square-like now. But I know the real you. My dream would be able to walk into whatever Wind and Breeze or Alaska are doing now and hit them with a whole ass Christmas tree while they're trying to do their fucking PowerPoint or give their sermon or teach nursery school, whatever they're doing. Just smack the shit out of them with a Christmas tree. And then pour absinthe all over their body. We'll get into the absinthe story later on. That's my dream. Thank you, Alaska, for listening. Alaska had a dope podcast I never got to do. I'm sorry. And you're probably way better at this than I was. Anyway, New York, MTV2. I don't even know where I was with this shit. We've gone off on so many tangents, as we do every week here. And we're only one song into the fun. This is why this shit will take forever. But I wanted to climb Mount Everest when I was 50. And it's like environmentally insensitive and a whole bunch of other shit. So this might be my Everest. Y'all might be climbing Mount Everest. Something that I'm really doing for myself that I could tell other people. You guys may be my Sherpas helping me up the thing. Shout out to Ananda and all my friends. I think it's just my friends that listen to this podcast. And I don't know why you would. But Ananda also sent me one of her early songs. And I don't know if she was trying to be in solidarity with me. But Ananda, your music is already better. Your first recording is already better than some of the recordings on this album here. That shit was dope you sent me. Your voice is just amazing. So shout out to Ananda Rose. If you haven't heard of her, check her out. And thank you for listening.
This is the song of a woman whose voice is roaring, too big for her body, not afraid to question societal standards of how we be addressing, choosing litigation tactics over conversation. This is a lion on our arms that says we shine through darkness. People acting petty, we just rise above it. There's the water in the storm that makes the flowers grow, not the thunder of a system that would see us choke. As the rich gets richer, I might get bitchier. So graceful as a goddess making magic.
This next song is important to me for many reasons. This is the first beat I ever paid for. Shout out to Jism. I heard this beat and this song just jumped out of me. This is the beginning of me really writing two beats instead of, not beginning, but me perfecting the art of writing two beats and waiting till I hear a beat that speaks to the topic that I already have within me. I didn't know I wanted to make a song about this. I didn't know that I needed to make a song about this. Wasn't my goal, but this hook just came to me.
Last night I almost got shot on my block. Not the block where I live at, the block where I chill at, where I keep it real at. It used to pack still at times I feel it's the spot I'll get killed. Last night I almost got shot on my block. Not the block where I live at, the block where I chill at, where I keep it real at. It used to pack still at times I feel it's the spot.
It's a really spiritual experience. And I think that's also why songs like The Scuffle exist. That's what came out of me. And I've learned not to restrict that process. The Scuffle is not a great song, but it's something that is what was speaking to me, so I did it. And learning to refine that instead of squash it is, to me, the art and the artistry, the technique. Because once you start, I call it God, you call it what you want. When God is flowing through you or the Spirit is flowing through you, you don't want to squelch it or restrict it, because then I feel like the muse, it gets turned off. If you want to say muse, it gets turned off. It won't visit, But if you let it flow through you and you learn to refine it, restrict it, shape it, it's better than just shutting it off. I'm not restricted, but reshape it. It's better than shutting it off or trying to restrict it. So I believe that it's a live energy that likes to be heard and seen. And sometimes you can just not put those songs on the album. I hadn't learned that. And as we, from perspective, that is why I met Ninth and he was like 10 songs. That's it. Really 9 songs in the intro. That's it. That's all we need, because I went overboard on this record, putting out everything instead of recording a group of songs and then letting the music fly through. That doesn't mean it needs to come out. It just needs to come. It doesn't need to be released, but it needs to be released. Get it? So this song, I heard this beat, I had to have it, even though I never paid for it. I haven't gotten free beats from Sunspot Jones, Eli, LP. I've been giving beats or working in trade with like Elusive, giving him a song for a beat or giving him a verse for a beat. Being charged for a beat was new, but I knew that I had to have this beat, knew it was worth it. Still feel the same way. The Night Before.
Now some claim gangsta raps the CNN of the streets, but it's used as an excuse to pretend over beats. So I'ma lend my speech to all within my reach to tell what really goes on, from cells to the streets. Now in LA, as you know, there's a war going on, and it's been going on since before I was born. Though the undisputed origin has yet to be formed, it all used to boil down to the red and the blue. But that got fucked up as the many led the few. Now there's bloods killing bloods and crips killing crips. That's niggas killing niggas. They play kickball with it. Ain't as simple as it was way back in 86. Let me give an example on some old Murs shit. My sect of mid-city is living on the edge, cause there's 4 gangs of war and none of them wear red. Any new car I face could mean bloodshed, which led to the other night. I'm in my girl's bug, right? About to hit the block to see who's chilling on the spot outside. When I put it in park, the homie got an SK aimed at my ride, so I step out slowly. Body numb with fear, he yells, "That's Murs, I see his beard from here." But I told this whole story just to make things clear, so it don't seem weird when I tell you this here. Last night I almost got shot on my block.
This first line also came to me. The hook came to me, and almost immediately, 5 seconds into hearing the beat. And the first verse, the start of this, some claim gangster raps the CNN of the streets, but it's used as an excuse to pretend over beats. Intricate or, inner rhyme patterns and everything, but still probably one of my, if I can bash myself, I can praise myself, I guess. One of my favorite lines. Performed this a lot on tour. Second verse, we used the Obi Trice beat. I don't know which one. Used that when we were performing. It went hard. The first verse is about me pulling up to the block in my girlfriend at the time's new Volkswagen Beetle. Had tinted windows. I like to address the gang problem in Los Angeles and pretty much across the United States, but I can only speak on what I've experienced because every city has their different politics. I don't want to make any assumptions, but in LA, I consider it a war. It is a blood feud, multi-generations, 4 to maybe 5, 3 at minimum generations deep in some neighborhoods, maybe 6. I am hesitant with ceasefire and truce in those terms. I am cautious when using those words. So many, you can't tell someone who's lost their grandfather, their uncle, possibly an auntie or a cousin, a brother, to make peace with the faction that murdered their loved one. Unless you've lost in this war, be mindful of your place. I've lost in this war and loved ones, and I am still very cautious with my place and when I speak. So being said that this is an active war zone, this is late 90s, early 2000s, early aughts, as the children say. I just learned that term. Shout out to the homie Tugboat for putting me up on that. In the early aughts or late 90s, my neighborhood, I've just been made aware that the Jungles, the Blood neighborhood that's featured in the movie Training Day, is not a part of Mid-City. I always assumed it was. Maybe it's just my hopes for inclusion. So where I grew up, Mid-City, it's nothing but Crip gangs. But people assume, if they're not from here, that Crips all get along. It's not. There's very different Crips. There's Deuces, Trays, Hustlers. It goes on and on to depths I don't even fully understand. If gangbanging was hip-hop or indie hip-hop, I would know A$AP Rock, MF Doom. I know some indie art if gangbanging was hip-hop, but I wouldn't know the Serengetis or the Anticons or the deeper cuts, the B. Dolans, some of the real gems. So that's my knowledge of gangbanging is deeper than most, but not deep enough to be an expert. But there are four Crip gangs. They don't all get along. At this time, the one in the neighborhoods bordering the neighborhood I lived in, was at an all-time high, as far as I know, all-time high. So things were on edge. Where we hung out on Cloverdale on our block, it was a 4-building apartment complex on windows facing the street. So an alley on the side, so you could look out either window. So perfect for if you're a sentry or a guard, if you're on guard. I pull up on the block in an unidentified vehicle. They don't know the vehicle. They know me. So let's just say at this point, I've been hanging out on Cloverdale since 93. No, 94. So it's almost 7 to 8 years. So 7 to 8 years I've been hanging out on this particular block. I've been in this neighborhood for the better of my most part of my life. I moved all around, but this was the epicenter. My grandparents lived there. My uncle and aunt live in the neighborhood. I've been in this neighborhood, going to the record store, everything, but I just hanging out on this block of particular people 7 to 8 years. So that means that the person that's pointing this, what I would say in exaggeration, is an anti-aircraft weapon, something with a very long barrel. In my era, like AK-47s were new and hot and the weapon of choice, and oh shit, you got one of those. This was next level. Some shit I never seen before. Silverish finish, like huge. So SK, they try to explain it to me. I don't profess to know, nor do I care to commit to memory letters and numbers for artillery. I don't play Call of Duty. Just not really, it's not my thing. But a huge gun, anti-aircraft, anti-tank type of shit to me. I see, and being that I'm part of this, this war, I've been affiliated for some time now and living with this stress and living in this war zone called inner city Los Angeles. I know to look before I get out of the car because we are, it ebbs and flows, but we are in a serious situation these days with the rivals. So, why not just not come? I was living in Orange County. Why not come? Because my friends are here. My friends are Crips, pimps, drug dealers, nerds, Christians. We all hang out. We love playing GoldenEye. And maybe if, online gaming was a thing in the early aughts, late 90s, I would have been at home in Orange County playing with the homies on a headset, talking to them, having beer and cigarettes in my own place. But this is where we go. So this is where I'm at. I look both ways before I get out of the car. I noticed that the little homie, now this, like I said, the point of me telling how long I've been on the block was that this individual pointing a weapon at me was 9 years old when I met him. He's now 18-ish, 17. He's a teenager and about to blow my fucking head off. This is life for an average black or brown kid in a lower income neighborhood in Los Angeles. This is what you grow up in and to be. This was a turning point for a couple of the young men that I had known because they were shooting on their block where their mother and their aunties and their granny and everybody lived, their friends, where they live. So if there's not a better way to recruit for the local neighborhood gang than to have the rivals shooting at people who are on the fence about being affiliated. And everyone in this neighborhood is on the fence because you love where you're from. You take pride in your neighborhood. It's your community. I defy you, or maybe these days, but I defy you to find any community with people of color that isn't connected. It's a very primal, I don't know if visceral is the word, but it's a connection. It's a human connection. So if there's a divide, you're going to side with your community. And then if there's a threat to the lives of the people you love, you're going to side with the faction, the military faction. And I'm going to stop. Yeah, I'm going to use, that's what it is. It's not a gang. It's a military faction. They are armed as such. And this guy, so the guy says he has it pointed at my ride. I get out like, hey, cuz, like, what are you doing? It's me. Hey, Nick, you can't be out here, cuz, like this, blah, 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 blah. And, I just walk it off and walk inside so I don't get shot. A lot of the times when I'm telling these stories, I'm combining stories. I'm telling other people's stories. I'm putting some fiction in there to this song as I listen back. I'm like, oh, shit, like this is just it. And if I hadn't heard this beat, I might not have got it out, and I need to get it out. And we'll pause here, and this is where I always ask fans of ours, what part of this resonates with you? Especially the celebratory parts. This could be interesting to you because this is like, to me, this song is kind of like reading a newspaper. about what's going on in inner city Los Angeles. But if you listen to some of these other artists, it's just a party and celebration of death and genocide. And I don't use that term lightly. I know it's a buzzword right now, but I've been using it for years to describe what's going on here. Why do you think it's okay to celebrate? We're processing it, and it's a poor way to process it. I'm not excusing it, but I understand why people who look like me and who have survived what I've survived or daily survive what I survive listen to it. But why do you find some of this music entertaining? Does it scare you? Is it the thrill? Like, it's Halloween-y time. Like, is it a Halloween thing? Are you amused by it? But it's a real thing. This is not like Michael Myers. And even that, as I started to watch that, and I've encountered people who suffered weird, like, deaths at the hands of maniacs. Like, I can't really even watch Jason and Freddy shit anymore. Like, murder and death is serious, but when it's, something that was perpetuated and funded by the U.S. government to oppress people that you claim to empathize with or, enjoy the music of or appreciate the culture of or whatever your connection to Black and brown culture in America is, it's you, in your eyes, it's a positive one, but yet you'll listen to music that celebrates that. Now, if there was, Ukrainians making songs about killing Russians, would that be on the radio? If there are Russians making songs about Ukraine, like, would that be on the radio? And if you look at the numbers, and I don't want you to trivialize it, if you look at the numbers of inner city homicides and taking place and what the deaths taking place in some of these recent wars and even wars from the early aughts and mid-90s or early 90s till now, they're very similar. And sometimes when I bother to even look it up, the deaths in the inner city of America trumps those in some of these overseas wars. And this war has been going on for at least 30 years. But no, I would have 40 to 50 years. These wars have been going on in our cities, but because they're oppressed people and marginalized people, we see it as crime. We call it crime. We call it crime. I will tell you that the borders of these neighborhoods haven't really changed much over the years. It's not a territory thing. It is a legitimate blood feud war, in my unexpert opinion. I think crack exacerbated it, sped it up, added fuel to the flames. But what part of this makes you want to shake your ass if you haven't lived through it? Why is it okay to you? I know why it's okay to me, and it's fucked up, and I've grown up, and I've dealt with it, and I've processed it, but why is it okay to you? I have an issue with some of my friends who have their top 5 have no Black rappers in it, but when I've questioned them, and the ones that I've questioned, they've said, I just don't relate to a lot of the shit that is said by a lot of, MCs that are Black or brown. I respect that. It sucks that you don't have a Black or brown person in your top 5 and you listen to Black and brown music that was started by Black or brown people, but if that's a logical excuse. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather that than you tell me this trap rapper is in your top 5. For what? You like dead Black people? That's cool to you? My ancestors, I think, forgive us and maybe take pity on us, understand us, shake our head. Your ancestors are probably excited about this. If you're a white American, is it your ancestors being excited that gets you excited about hearing about the Black and brown people killing each other? Are you like, yes, my great-great-grandfather's plans or his sentiment is continuing, and the death of Black people is something he worked towards or didn't mind being a part of or did nothing to stop, and now he's excited? I don't get it. But hey, to each their own. Which brings me to the second verse. It's about the police harassing us.
Now in the entertainment industry, they have sweeps weeks, but it's Thursday in my hood when they sweep them streets. A whole fleet of the task that they simply call crash. That's community resources against street hoodlums. If anyone should ask what the acronym reflects, put into effect to try to keep the gangs in check. Now they're just another gang out banging they set, known for stirring up some shit when your hood is at peace. The only pig I know dying to create beef, but let me get on with my story so that all of y'all compete. Once again, I'm on my block, right? Known as Cloverdale, playing 2K2 while I'm talking on my cell. Well, while I'm inside, eyes glued to the screen, crash rolls on my homies with the Thursday routine. What's your name? Where you going? Where you been? Where you from? We say the same thing while they just play dumb. We don't gang bang. We got J.O.B. still they make them turn around and get down on their knees. Me, I'm screaming in the house, I just won by 3. So when I run out on the porch to tell the homies come and see, I see them on the ground and I'm like, God damn. Plus I got this black Nextel phone in my hand. They both yell freeze, guns aimed at me. And even though I dropped my phone, it's plain to see. The last night I almost got shot on my block. Not the block where I live at, the block where I chill at. Where I keep
First is, from within the camp, I could get shot. This is what I'm dealing with every time I choose to go visit my friends. And I'm sure many of you enjoyed the early aughts and late 90s playing video games with your friends and didn't have these obstacles. So yeah, the first verse is about people from my own neighborhood, my block, trying to accidentally shoot me while protecting us. And then the next one is about the police. And the police are very similar to gangbangers. The police, to me, are a gang. Some of them are gang members. It's a fact now. But they come from the same social, economic class as most gangbangers. They are just usually young white or brown men, very rarely black people, because we've managed to demonize protecting our community through the system, which has its pluses and minuses. I feel like if we didn't say fuck the police so much, maybe we have a couple more good cops, but then they still be enforcing unjust laws that were designed to oppress us. So it's a chicken and egg thing. It's hard for me to process, but I wouldn't mind having at least a couple people that look like me playing by this fucked up book. You know what I mean? At least if they kept it true to the, by the book and maybe let us slide on a couple things, that'd be great. Like, one times I got hogtied for underage smoking, probably not necessary. Going to jail for pissing in public, probably not necessary. I feel like if I had a black cop that was, a little understanding. I've seen like cops in New York like not sweat people from the neighborhood because they have to walk the beat and actually touch the community. So it's a little different. I think the people pulling up in cars is different. And also the way LA is segregated, it professes or on the surface is called a melting pot, but it is very much not. So if all these young people, black and brown and white and Asian, all races in America, if you don't have scholastic aspiration, what did you do? Well, in the 60s, 70s, you worked at a factory, the aerospace industry. Maybe you knew someone in film, and film is the major export of California, one of the major exports, and 98, I think, for the stat is 98% of the people behind the camera with these great Teamster jobs, grips, craft service, wardrobe, all these people are not black and brown. 98% white, as someone told me when I was on set one day. I didn't bother to check it, so you can check it. I don't know, but seems about right. I don't see a lot of us. Shout out to the Far Eye. Actually, I saw him doing sound on that brother, but like it's so rare that you see a black man that, oh shit, I know him. It's a great gig. But they don't teach that at job fairs and at LA schools. Why not? It's our major export. Because everyone keeps it for themselves. That community keeps it for themselves. But if you were a quarterback in high school, a great old lineman, you didn't really get picked up to play D1, D2, D3 ball, whatever, or you just want to stay home, you got your high school sweetheart pregnant, you could get a job at the factory. That was how America worked and blah, blah, blah. Now, those jobs have been moved or disappeared or automated. What do? Well, there's an industry for drugs, or there was. Someone just brought this to my attention. That industry no longer exists, really. But there was an industry for homemade drugs, for crack, or if you're white, for meth. Brown crack, like ice, meth. Those things, homemade drugs. There's a market for it. Costco drugs, like meth is just homemade. But, coke, like, okay, it's like Costco cocaine, which was designed to fuck with us, as you can watch Snowfall. So you get that job. But if you're a white person and you're not in a completely impoverished neighborhood, lower middle class, selling meth, you're not out in Cudahy or Fresno or wherever the fuck that shit goes down. What do? Well, our newest widget of what we make now in America is criminals. So you work at that factory, which is in a black and white car, picking up the product off the street, which are young black and brown people generally, and taking them to jail because that's what pays. And that's what we make now. We make criminals. And so, yeah, they would do sweeps on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm sorry, that's the song. That's the Hot Boy song.
2 of the hottest days of the week. They harassing and hacking niggas in that UPT. NOPD be rolling so deep. They be fucking over niggas. Kicking in doors sometimes, they be pulling triggers. You're hustling, better chill out, cause they not for joking. Making sure they close shop all day, they gon' be smoking. So I advise you just to stay inside. If they catch you down,
But Thursdays was our night. I think it's Thursday. And they harassed. So we would be on edge, on alert. But, on occasion, we would get caught up in the sweep. And it's really just a gathering of information. It's never really to protect anyone. It's the gathering of information. Happened in my neighborhood, Mid-City, which was predominantly black. And 20 years later, it's predominantly not black. I think it's predominantly white, or a very, very large percentage white. How did that happen? Well, it started with these sweeps in the late 90s. The gang thing got really bad, the riots, the more guns hit the street with the riots. People stole a lot of guns, and then there's a lot more killing and just, crack, and everything's ramping up. 3 strikes, all these things. But 3 strikes was to take people off the streets. But if you are renting in this neighborhood, as a lot of black people were, this is where a lot of duplexes come from. A lot of white people had huge houses, and then as black people the deed to my mother's house in Mid-City said she was not allowed to, I saw it with my own eyes, not allowed to sell to blacks, Chinese, or Mexicans. I think maybe funny thing is maybe Jews too. And the Supreme Court ruled 1945, 1948 that you couldn't do that shit. So it was void. Even though it was still in print, it was void. But I remember my mother showing me that on the deed. So what do you do if you can sell the house to a black person, or you can do what your neighbors probably didn't want you to do, was make it into a rental property. So you'd either divide it or rent the house out whole and keep it and use it as a source of income. So a lot of people weren't allowed to buy by the deed, or because of their, low income situation, they weren't going to be able to buy anyway. Or now it's not even an option to buy because we only want to rent. We're turning these into multiple unit dwellings, which is most times when it's black and brown people, probably not the best idea. So now, whatever, 40, 50 years after that, there's a gang problem. Everybody's renting. But if your child is incarcerated, how do you bail them out? Do you say, okay, we're going to move to Palmdale where the rent is cheaper, and I'm going to bail you out? And a lot of parents have the idea of, I can still work in LA, make the commute, and get my kid out of this neighborhood. But there are so many black and brown parents thinking the same thing, that Riverside, Palmdale, Valencia, all these places kind of became just like the inner city. And along with rap music and making it cool to be a thug, a lot of these kids didn't want to be a part of that. We were part of the exodus. And I remember moving to Covina and meeting black kids and them trying to be like Compton and Linwood, all the shit I just came from. I'm like, why, bro? Why? Why do you want to be like MC8 and DJ Quick? I just left there, bro. Like, you can ride your skateboard everywhere. We can ride our bikes and jump on real dirt ramps. And what? Wow. Like, we can go to the park and hang out. We go to the comic book store. What the fuck are y'all doing? But because the black identity, because the white people thought that these black people were cool, and these were the black people that white America allowed on television, the black kids who didn't suffer through the same circumstances and had to survive the same shit, wanted to emulate those that did. Imagine being a hardworking parent making that. My stepfather was driving from Covina to Van Nuys. That's across LA from one valley to another valley, to be a plant manager or janitor at the time, to come back home. My mother was driving to Pasadena and back for her job. Both of them left in the morning. It was me and my brother's job to get us up and get us to school, and came home to nobody because they were working abroad. Now imagine doing that, and then your child still ends up on some bullshit gang shit because the white kids at school who would usually call them nigger is kind of changing now. And they're starting to like black people, but only a certain type of black person. If you're a thug, then you're a cool black person. If you can dribble a basketball, you're kind of cool. Like, sports was the only end, but rap became the official end because white kids in the suburbs wanted to dress like, act like, talk like, walk like, be like the black people in the inner city because that's what was being promoted on TV. That is a problem. So it's hard to escape. But if you escape, if you're a white person, if you're a white person, what do? You become a cop. A lot of cops that I've met are people, of white dudes that I met at cops, just like my friends. They love to drink beer, watch sports, play Call of Duty, just like a lot of my friends that are Crips and Bloods. Like, that's it. They're the same person. But we've been divided systematically or systemically, whichever one it is, to make the product. We have to play the criminal. They have to play the cop. You pick up the product, you place it in the jail, it generates money. And the rich get richer. And we die and get poor or maintain until we die. But yeah, that's how my neighborhood got gentrified. To me, that's what the second verse is about. It's about the cops fucking with us. White people, my thing is, I guess, like, why do you find this music amusing? Why do you feel the need to drive from Sylmar or from wherever you drive to my community to protect me? You're this altruistic spirit that is coming to the inner city. No, you want a job with decent pay and a pension because our government took that away from all of us in order to make more money because they get cheaper labor elsewhere by mistreating and exploiting someone else in another country. This is the new hustle for American government, is dividing and locking us up and paying you to lock us up. You don't care if we're safe. So they would just shake us down to get information. But really, like I've sat in a cafe with my homeboy, and I lose that term loosely, but I seen an officer pull him outside and I heard him like, yo, oh, you from such and such now? Well, you used to be from such and such. So we had prep gangs in LA. Early 90s, like Most Valuable Pimps, Homeboy Criminal Gang, Fairfax Posse Gang, nothing but trouble. Well, nothing trouble's a different thing, but there's all these little gangs, and they would basically like minor league gangs that feed into the larger neighborhood gang. Some people went straight to the big gang. Some people tried to keep the little gangs alive, but that's basically how it happened. And all of them turned whatever gang. All of them turned South Central Crips after they were South Central Renegades, which was a tagging crew. It'd be a little more hip hop, like a lead intro. Like, oh, okay, we tag bang, we do this, we steal clothes, we get girls, we go to parties, and then it turns into the big homie say, all right, now you gotta be really with the shit, or you get into something. And you gotta get, like I was saying in the first verse, like people start shooting up the block and you're like, well, shit, I was already kind of from this gang. Might as well just be with the real shit. And yeah, so I've seen that conversation happen between an officer and a dude in my neighborhood. Be like, yo, oh, what are they gonna think now that you turn? Because he was in a prep gang that everybody went to another gang. He went to another gang. And oh man, I'm gonna have to tell him that I seen you out here with such and such. What do you mean? You have to tell him. Like, this is an officer of the law. Officer McLeod, I'll always shit on him by name. Like, fuck you mean, bro? Like, what are you doing? Or they would come pull up and be like, hey, the such and such are out here looking for y'all tonight. And like, first of all, it's to get you to admit that you're like, number one, we don't gangbang, asshole. Number two, if there are people looking to murder people who look like me that live on this street, maybe you should go arrest them. But they rile it up, and then they said this over here, or they out here looking for y'all. We were supposed to then go get our guns and go looking for them so that they don't come until the body's dropped. And then they can go investigate a homicide, hopefully catch somebody for the homicide, and there's also one more person off the street. That's the game. So they came to shake us down on a regular. This is one night where I was like, oh shit, and then I think this might be like me coming out on the porch. I don't think I did, but maybe I did. Often we would come out and like try to like create a number so that they would just leave. Sometimes people got handcuffed. Sometimes they didn't get handcuffed. But never once, and this goes back to the Varsity Blues thing where I actually had to go to jail. That's why it's so stupid to me that I went to jail that night. Never once did any of us go to jail from the porch. Whether it was the rivals or the black and white rivals, the PD, you are not extracting one of us from our home base, from HQ, without serious ramifications. It doesn't matter if you're the police or anyone. If you come over here with some bullshit trying to take a life or take us to jail, best believe you will be confronted by numbers and aggression. And I still value that. I take that, of course, with my family. And I used to take that with my rap family till I found that rap is art. This is not the place for that. That's the second verse. The third verse is a true story about my homie Terry being outside and motherfuckers actually shot at him and some kids that he worked with that came by to show him that they were going to prom and show them their car and their get-ups and all, regular shit. American shit. Kids going to prom. Here's a teacher or someone that works at their school or counselor that they're fond of. They want to pull up and show them like, hey, we're on our way to prom. We appreciate you. And they end up the kids getting shot at and they shot at T. That was it for me. So I had a gun this whole time. I never let anybody know. Yeah, oh shit, that I don't even need, I guess it's out on wax or whatever. So I said, the homie took me to the house, I ran upstairs, got it. Like, what are we about to do? Because now this is great for you, some of you people that I'm so evolved and woke and all these things. I wasn't even on the fence, but this situation pushed me to a point where now I want to go out to do what I've been trying not to do my whole life. This shit has been around my whole life, and I've avoided dancing around it. Now I am 20-something years old, early 20s, and I got to get busy. Because fuck that. This is it. Like, I have been in different crews, and I know a lot of people say, oh, you're Living Legends, and you hopped into Def Jux. And motherfucker, I've been from Mid-City my whole life, and I've been from Cloverdale since 94. That never changed. Will never change. So these are the people I know. We don't have a lot of same interests, but I know go to bat for me. And I make the call. It's up. It's on. To this day, and definitely back then. So this is my back against the wall. Your friends will be there when your back against the wall. Yeah, 21 Jump Street. This is it. I'm not changing. I'm not backing down. This is ride or die. This is it. So we're all in the house. Motherfucker's like, Nick, why you tell us you had a gun? Because motherfucker, I didn't want you asking to borrow it to go do stupid shit with. But now we're in a place of defense. These motherfuckers better know they can't come back over here without limping back. They missed and they shouldn't have done that. This is what I'm thinking, okay? This is what I'm thinking. And this is why when I moved to Tucson and I would see these overweight white males with their orange shirts and camos with the fucking Desert Eagle on their hip buying the new Madden, I'd be like, oh, okay. When close range shit starts to pop off and you got to pop back, I guess that's why you train so much, because you want it to be a robotic reaction. There's no shooting range for gangbanging. When motherfuckers ask me, once this all died down, people was asking me like, so how many times have you shot it? I'm like, for what? Why would I shoot it? For what? Do I need to use it? This be like asking me how many times I turned on my hedge trimmers to not trim the hedge. Like, this is a tool. This is not a fucking toy, motherfucker. Like, what do you mean? How many times did I turn on the lawnmower and run it over the cement to practice my lines? None. You learn on the job. I don't know. This is how unprepared and uninterested, uninspired I am to be a gangbanger or to be anyone that kills anything other than insects and rodents in my home that annoy my wife and children. Or eat my crops. Like, no, bro. No. Not for sustenance, not to eat the meat, not to defend a street. I am not built for it. I've reconsidered in recent years, but I would go do the training. But even in that training, I hesitate to see when you see dirt flying up and shit, or you hear things passing by your head, it takes a little bit. It takes a little bit of getting used to. So I'm a couple steps closer to being ready. I think if I had to, I could maybe do it. Because life is a lot of getting to the edge, and if you don't jump the first time, jump in the second time. It's happened to me quite often in my life. But it's not an edge I prefer to be pushed towards. I'd rather do everything I can never to be pushed to that edge. So when I was pushed to that edge, I dropped the gun. I was scared. I was nervous. I'm shaking. I'm like, whoa, shit, this is happening. It's kind of like you've seen people put on like, I'm not even going to go into any more metaphors. I wasn't ready. I'm still not ready. And this is the night before. I think I've covered all the grounds. I think we've gone off way too far into my stance on gangbanging. My unpopular stance now is to legalize gangbanging. I don't feel like I want anyone locked up for a game that everybody decided to play or a war both sides decided to be involved in. And I think a lot of people do it because it's a game. They can call the police. They can do all that, hide behind people and all these other things. But if you made it legal for a few weeks, I feel like the bodies would drop. Motherfuckers, it wouldn't be so cool anymore. Motherfuckers would see that we live in a very privileged place, even if you are an oppressed person in this country. I think as you look at media and you do your research, you will find out that you're still in a very privileged place. It's a fucked up but privileged place. And you may be able to process and let go some of that trauma and that pain that makes you want to go and hurt other people. I referenced like niggas killing niggas they play kickball with. Like I went to school in Linwood, Covina, and West LA. I don't have a lot of friends for life. But a lot of my homies on Cloverdale and from the neighborhood gang have been in that neighborhood so long that these gang boundaries didn't exist really as intensely as they did when everybody was playing Pop Warner football. So you can look at people who have killed each other. I was with my homie's mom that passed away, and she showed me people from the other side on the same fucking team. They used to have sleepovers at each other's house. So for all of you that are unfamiliar and lightly familiar through this bullshit rap music with gang culture, that is real. Like I had to look at people that shot at people, look at some of my people have probably murdered and have murdered. People have murdered each other, had sleepovers, watched The Last Dragon together, shit like that. Herbie Lovebug had Blockbuster, even before Blockbuster video, like had video VHS Betamax sleepovers. And now they're ready to kill each other. Why? Like I said, like it's not territory. And especially in this era, I'm learning that a lot of my little homies, when I would come home from tour, the ones that became gang, they'd be asking me for weed and money. There wasn't a lot of money in gangbanging, and we'll talk about that on Dream Chaser. Like as gangbanging got older, it wasn't a profession. There was dope boys and there was gangbangers. My big homie around the corner just came home. He was a dope boy. He was in a gang, but he's a businessman. Came home with like a couple of decades. It has a different story. Like, no, this is not what Crippin' was supposed to be. This is what it became when they locked up the Harry O's and the Rick Rosses. Gangbanging became a lot more vicious because there were the CEOs that were running it like business, like treating the Crips and Bloods as soldiers to help them as they distribute their product and whatnot. That shit went away early, real quick. Not a lot of rich gangbangers. Damon Dash once asked me that, like, how did you not? Because he was talking about the reasons he got into the game. And I was like, yo, like in LA, it's not that way, man. There's not a lot of money in being, it's a calling. And there have been warriors in every culture since the beginning of time. America has found a way to pervert that spirit into something so deadly and tragic in my community. I don't fault young men for wanting to be Crips and Bloods. You're naturally wanting to, as a warrior spirit, a man, a woman, there are warriors born into every village and tribe. But to pervert it for profit is completely sinister and genius in the most evil way. Same pride that, that they pimp out in kids from Sylmar or where San Dimas or wherever they are driving in from to police these neighborhoods. Like, men want to carry guns and be aggressive. Some men and women are born that way. They want to be protectors. And you twist it and you give them this ideology that's built on bullshit and hate and greed. And this is the problem we have. And this is what I'm trying to address in this song. Thank you to Jism for the beat. Thank you to LP for the opportunity. Shout out to everybody that ever seen me perform this song. I might want to go back to performing it one day. It sucks that it's still very relevant. And yeah, this will be the end of this week. This is a long one. But I love y'all. Thank you for listening. If you're listening, if you disagree, I'm open to reasoning, as a Rasta them say. We can reason about it. This is just my view. My opinion doesn't make it right. And it'll probably evolve and change. All right, so this is an addendum to the episode. I went home and thought about it. I'm recording all these before I take this trip down south and trip overseas. So you have a few weeks done. Man, yeah. This episode is heavy. So I wanted to make sure I don't mince my words. I am not comparing statistics. War is atrocious. Death is tragic. Untimely death is tragic. Death is a part of life. Untimely death is tragic. Senseless violence is tragic. Violence is reprehensible. What is happening in the world, all around the world. I just want people who think like me to see the disgust and the horror and drama that isn't at our doorstep. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was making the world think he didn't exist. For Americans, certain Americans, to call out the tragedy they see abroad and recognize also America's hand in a lot, if not all of this, and so many of the world's problems, and not see what they're perpetrating in our own communities and recognizing that is crazy. We deal in a lot of death and destruction since the establishment of this nation. There are good things about America. I'm not one of those people. So I don't want anyone, I've learned early being a revolutionary, wannabe, Pan-African, whatever the fuck, and having especially Jewish friends, but also friends from other cultures, Filipino friends. You don't compare. I can't say 400 years is worse than 6 million bodies and it's so what, man? It's all horrible. I'm not here to compare or say this is worse than. And I hate that I even had to bring up statistics, but I bring up the statistics for you all to see. Some of you that claim to be woke or that are woke. I'm not insulting you, but for you to open your eyes a little wider in your wokeness and see that, what's going on in inner city America is just as disgusting, or not just, it's disgusting as well. Some things may be more disgusting. Brussels sprouts are more disgusting than broccoli to some people. But if you find vegetables abhorrent or whatever disgusting, then, that's your thing. Avoid it. Don't encourage it. Don't buy it. Don't play it. The same way you don't support companies that are on the wrong side of however you feel this war is going. Or just in general, if you don't support war, don't support this music. If it's not, I don't want to say don't support the music. For me, I feel like soldiers have a right to tell their stories, but there are people who glorify it. There's nuances to it. And if you don't understand the nuances, just stay away from it at all. That's my suggestion. I feel if that's how you live, then you should be able to make art about it, period. As horrifying as it is, I really feel that. But there are people that are just profiting off of it. And also when you think about it, to understand the severity of it, think of people that are experiencing, just, for yourself, do the Google on how many homicides there are in the inner city and how America's done the trick of not labeling it a war, but labeling it crime, black on black crime. What is that? How hurt a people must be to have to exploit their trauma via art as a means of escape from the circumstances that caused the trauma. How damaged a people must be, or hurting a people must be, to dance to it themselves and make it and put it to a beat, or just to buy it and consume it and put it on replay, to watch it via television shows, whether it be Snowfall or Power, which are some, very well-made television, depending on who you ask. But to me, I have to take a step back and I can't even watch it because of my PTSD. And someone also told me that it's not PTSD because it's not post. I still live in Inglewood. I still live blocks away from my family went away for summer vacation and came back. There were 2 bodies that were on the corner. Not literally, but happened over the weekend while we were gone for summer vacation for 2 weeks. Half a block away from my house. In the time I've lived in my house, that's one of 3 or 4 homicides in the general vicinity, in less than a block radius of my home, which is possibly, I think today, valued at $900-something thousand. This is the insanity I live with that is normalized for me. So that's what I'm trying to get through when I make these songs, because there's so many songs that just celebrate it and don't give you a real perspective of it. There are real warriors and people suffering from traumatic stress that are making these songs as therapy, as a means of escape, and I respect that. It's hard for me to watch mainstream Americans who aren't aware of what's the severity of the situation dance to it, engage with it, and I guess fetishize it maybe. But I said we were going to end on a positive note, and another thing that hit me is I didn't talk about this because this is the thing. We did a commercial for Bowers and Sons Cleaners. I record this podcast near there, steps away. I record a lot of good music here. Done a lot of writing here. On the way here is where I came up, or God hit me with the vision for the name Murs. Taking my bus after school from West LA to South Central to help my uncle close this Cleaners. Lots of has happened. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this place. An older gentleman, Jewish gentleman, white Jewish man, in his 60s or 70s, I believe, came into the Cleaners. He's been friends with my family. He knows my grandfather. He's been coming here that long. My mother, my uncle, he asked my mother, what's Nicholas up to? This is my oldest son. He just put out this record. This, like I said, me and my mom are on the right track now. She is my number one. I won't say my brother to me is my number one fan until he got married. Now he's his wife's number one fan. I accept that. I love it. So she shows him, I guess the end of the beginning, gives him a copy. My mom will buy copies from Best Buy. My mom has every record I've ever made. Not that I've given them to her. So she gave, I guess, this man a CD, because it's still before streaming, and he listened to it. He found this song and said, man, he said, this is my jam. And my mom put him on the phone. This man is singing it. Last night I almost got shot on my block. Not the block where I live at, the block where I chill at. Bro, he asked, and at this time it's 2004, 2005. I'm living with Eli. We're living in the valley. Whew, never again, God willing. I'll accept the roof over my head, but oh my gosh, there's anything wrong with the valley. The valley's just not for me. Being an LA kid, the valley is a whole different vibe, and it's hot as shit. Traffic, and I don't understand Winnetka, Van Nuys, Van Nuys, Ventura, the parking. Give me South Central every day. Give me West LA, give me Inglewood. But we're living in the valley. Roommates. Eli's probably the best roommate I ever had. And we needed money for rent. The guy offered us he wanted us to do a commercial for his carpet company. Eli produced it. I wrote it. Because of last night, I got shot on my block. This Jewish man had us write a rap jingle for his carpet company. I believe it was carpet cleaning, or I don't remember. If I can find it from my mother or Eli, because I don't have it, because this is when I had a Hotmail. I'm going to search my Hotmail maybe on this trip when I get a chance after these conferences and whatnot. I'm going to search to hopefully play this. If I don't, just imagine what that sound like. 04 Eli Murs music style quality. Because me and Eli have been making music since we were 15 years old. When we get together, even if it's funny, the song Creative Differences, we talk about creative differences, that song was because I was listening to a lot of Nori and Pharrell, and we went in and we knocked it out. What I'm saying is, you know what? It probably slaps. We made a slapping ass carpet cleaning commercial for the Hebrew homie in the 70s because he liked The Night Before. If that's not a bright way, a comical way to end this on a chuckle, I don't know what else is. I look forward to listening back to this. Thank you, Rob, every week for editing these and sitting through these. And at the last minute, I'm like, God, could you take that out? Could you take this out? So there's probably a lot of that in this episode because I feel like I say too much. I never want to offend anyone. And in this current climate and the access people have to each other, it's so fucking crazy. And I'm already an anxious person, but I overthink everything I say. I couldn't sleep last night because I got to say this. I am not trying to equate anything. I'm just trying to get you to see the horror because my people, ourselves, my culture, my people, Black people have done such a good job at sensationalizing it and making it look fun and sound fun and entertaining. But trust me, this is only as a means of escape and processing trauma. My job is once again to be the CNN of the streets till it really goes on from the cell to whatever I said in the song. Love y'all, love y'all, love y'all, love y'all. Thanks for listening to the Best Rapper in LA podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing on Spotify, Apple, wherever it is. If you like the show, leave a review on Apple Music or Spotify. And to support the podcast directly, go to patreon.com/MURS316, Murs316. See y'all next week. Peace, peace, peace.